Today, in this session, I am going to deal with basic engineering drawing. So, in this basic engineering drawing, we will be dealing the freehand lettering and numbering in the first half of the session. So, what is freehand lettering and numbering? Generally, on drawing sheet, we have to give the information. The information should be written one. For writing that information, that is the numerals or alphabets, we have some specifications and guidelines. We have to follow all those guidelines and specifications, and all lettering should be as per the code. There is no scope for writing any slipshod writing, or simply running letters are not accepted on a drawing sheet. So lettering is the letters are drawing on or written on a drawing sheet by using either by stencils or by freehand. That is, you may be aware that a stencil is a ready-made template with alphabets inscribed in it, so that we can put a pen or pencil inside the alphabet and we can directly and easily write the letter neatly. We might have learnt alphabets from our childhood, but on drawing sheet we have to write in a specific pattern. So we cannot write cursive writing or any other writing. Those all letters should be as per the specifications. So on drawing sheets we have to letter properly according to the drawing size and need of the drawing. So letters play an important role in reading the drawing sheet. So letters are necessary for readability, reproduction and layout of a sheet. So how should we write the letterings? For that also we have a IS code, IS 696. So according to the IS 696 only we have to do the lettering. So this code has specified how lettering should be done on any drawing sheet. So as per IS 696, these are the requirements which are to be satisfied while doing lettering on a drawing sheet. That is, lettering should be legible, that is, there should be legibility, and there should be suitability, uniformity of letters, ease and rapidity. So as I said, when we use stencil, the ease and rapidity will be sacrificed. That is, it takes a lot of time using stencil. Neatness will be there, but rapidity and ease will not be there using stencil. That is why we have to practice freehand lettering, so that we can write quickly and easily on the drawing sheet. So there are some types of lettering. We have two types of letterings on drawing sheet. That is, IS code specified two types of lettering. That is, upright or vertical lettering. That is, the letters are vertical or 90 degrees with respect to the horizontal line. Similarly, sloped or inclined lettering. That is, they are slightly tilted towards the horizontal. So instead of being vertical, they are at an angle of 75 degrees to the upright. That is, upright letters are vertical, they have an angle of 90 degrees with respect to the horizontal. They are straight. So for example, L, I and such letters are written perpendicular to the horizontal line. Similarly, when it comes to the sloped letter or inclined letters, they make an angle of 75 degrees to the horizontal or 15 degrees from the vertical. Will be a slight tilt, so that those letterings are called as inclined lettering. Designation of letters and numerals. So while specifying the height, designation, we have the numerals and letters are designated with respect to their heights. So when we say some designation, it means that it is the height of the letter. It is size 10, size 14, like that. So when we say, we mean that it is its height. So letters and numerals are designated with respect to their heights. General recommendations for different letters depending upon the necessity. So on the drawing sheet we have several sections. The heading will be there, block will be there, and we have to write some legend. So for every work there is some specified height of the letter. So generally the recommended sizes are for drawing number in the title block. So on the title block, in the title block, if you want to write the what is the drawing number, then what is the that drawing sheet number, we write generally in 10 or 12 size, 12 mm or 10 mm or 12 mm size. Similarly, title of the drawing will be given in 6 to 8 mm size. Subtitles from 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 mm or 4 mm or 5 mm. 6. Legends, materials, etc. we write in 3 mm size or 4 mm size or 5 mm size. At the most 5 mm size. Alterations and tolerances, they are given in sizes of 2 mm or 3 mm, very small sizes. So the range starts from 2 and ends at 12 mm size. So the maximum size of numeral on a drawing sheet is 12 mm and minimum is 2 mm. So they should be legible and readable. So very big letters are won't give good appearance, and also they take lot of space on the drawing sheet. So that is why they have constructed the sizes from 2 to 12 mm. So the range of standard lettering. The range is, that is the height we have from 2.5 mm to 3.3, 3.5, 5, 7, 10, 14 and 20. Generally these are the sizes they follow on the drawing sheet. So these are the specified sizes on drawing sheet: 2.5 mm, 3.5 mm, 5 mm, 7 mm, 10 mm, 14 and 20. That is, the two consecutive numbers are in the ratio of 1:√2. That is, 2.5 into 1 root 2 will give you 3.5. Similarly, 3.5 into root 2 will give 5. So 10 into root 2 will give 14 mm size. 14 into root 2 will give 20 mm size. So we have learned that in our earlier class that paper size is also of the ratio of width to length size of 1:√2. So they have also adopted the same ratios, that is 1:√2 size. Elements of letters and numerals as per SP 46. As we know, the SP 46 is a special publications which explains the drawing code IS 696. So there are two standard standard ratios of letterings depending upon the thickness of line and height of the line. They are called as lettering type A and lettering type B. So the ratio is, if it is 1:14, that is thickness of the line to the height of the line is 1:14, then that type of lettering is called as A type lettering. Similarly, if we follow 1:10 size, then the lettering is called B type lettering. So these two are standard lettering sizes depending upon the thickness and height. So if we use the generally in drawing sections we use some pens, standard pens, which have sizes of 1 mm thick, 2 mm thick, like that. So when we use 1 mm thick pen, the height of the numeral will be 14. Similarly, in lettering B, if we use 1 mm thick size pen or line, the line thickness is 1 mm, then the height will be 10 mm size. So lettering type A. So what are the characteristics of lettering type A? That is, the depth is the thickness of the line D is equal to h by 14. That is, the h is 14 times the thickness of the line. So if they are designated, the height of capital lines, capital letters is, if h, then the ratio is 14, 14 by 14 into h. That is, it will come to 14 mm. So for 1 mm, if we take h as 14, then the lowercase size will become 10 by 14 into h, that is 10 mm. Similarly, spacing between each character is designated as A. So A is the spacing between the each character, that will be equal to 2 by 14 of h, that is 2 mm. So if we consider, if we take the height as standard, so if we are writing 14 mm size letter, then height will be 14 mm. The character, the lowercase characters will be of 10 mm, spacing will be 2 mm, spacing between two base lines. Suppose we are writing in two lines, so then the lines will be differ, the spacing between two lines will be equal to 20 mm. Similarly, the minimum space between two words, suppose we are writing different words during our childhood, the teacher would have asked us to leave the one finger space between two letters. Similarly, the space between two words. So between two words, they used to ask us to leave one finger distance. So similarly, here it is standardized as 6 by 14 of h. That is, for 14 mm height size letter, it will be 6 mm. Similarly, the thickness or the weight of the line will be equal to 1 mm. That is 1/14 of the height. That is, if in this case we are taking 14 mm size letter, that is why we are getting 1 mm thickness. Similarly, for every height, for 10 mm, for 8 mm, we have to multiply by these ratios, so that we get all the width of the height of the small letter, or spacing between the characters, spacing between the base lines, minimum space between each word, and thickness of the line. So this is according to the type A type A. The letters of type A have the ratio of 1:14. So d by h, d is equal to h by 14. Similarly, for each height h, by multiplying corresponding ratio, we can get the dimensions of lowercase height, spacing, and thickness. Also, spacing between the base lines, spacing between each word, all those characters we can get by following that ratio. So in case of lettering type B, that is, thickness d is equal to height by 10. So let us take an example of 10 mm height letter. So if the height of the letter is 10 mm, the ratios are like this. The general ratios are 10 by 10 h, that is for height. For lowercase letter is 7 by 10 h, and spacing between characters is 2 by 10. Spacing between line is 14 by 10, and spacing between words is 6 by 10, and thickness is 1 by 10. So if for 10 mm height, the ratios will be 7 mm, that is height of lowercase without tail, leaving the tail, that is extension. Suppose d is, we write d, so the main part, the curve will be of size 7, and tail will be there, d, p, or any other letters which have tail. That letter size is 7 by 10 h, excluding the tail length. Spacing between characters also, that is 2 by 10 h. Each letter should be spaced, so they should not be crammed, or they should not join, or they should not be far away from each other. So the standard is 2 by 10 h. For 10 mm height size B type letter, 2 mm space we should leave between each letter. Suppose if we are writing cat, the distance between C and A should be 2 mm, and A and T should be 2 mm. So that is the minimum specified distance. Similarly, spacing between lines, Spacing between words, it is 14 by 10h, 6 by 10h, and 1 by 10h is the line thickness. So if we take the example, if we consider 10 mm size line, these are the standard distances, that is 7 mm for lowercase letter, 2 mm for spacing between characters, 14 between two baselines, 16 mm between two words, and 1 mm is thickness of the line. So we have seen the what are the rules we have to follow for lettering. So lettering is a very small chapter, hence here we are clubbing two different chapters, that is dimension practice and lettering, to make this session. So in this session, in the second part, we will be dealing with the dimensioning practice. So before going to the in detail about the dimensioning practice, let's recap the lettering once again. So we have lettering should be done on the drawing sheet using either by using stencils or by freehand. Lettering plays important role in readability, layout, and reproduction of a reproduction activity, reproduction of drawing. So the basic requirements of any lettering is the legibility, suitability, uniformity, ease, and rapidity. How quick we can write, how neatly, how easily we can write, that is the criterion. So there are two types of letterings, that is they can be vertical lettering or slightly slanting. So people who are used to for cursive writing, they can utilize this slant letter. So actually they will be separate letters, we cannot combine them using the cursive writing. So separately we have to write each and other letter without joining them, leaving proper space. So upright letters are 90 degrees are perpendicular to the horizontal line, and inclined letters are makes an angle of 75 degrees to the horizontal line. Designation of letters and numerals, generally they are designated by their heights. So their height tells us what type of letter it is. So no other characters are given, only by 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 seeing its height we will know that what type of letter it is. So the designation is only, the criterion for designation is only the height, nothing else. So generally the code has recommended letters from 2 mm to 12 mm for writing on the drawing sheet. So for different different items of the drawing, we have different heights of numerals or letters. That is, for drawing numbers in the title block is 10 to 12 mm, 10 mm or 12 mm. Then title of drawing, the title of the drawing will be given in 6 or 8 mm. Subtitles will be given from 3 to 6 mm. 3, 4, 5, 6, any number we can use. Legend or materials we will give in sizes of 4, 3, 4 or 5 mm, and alterations and tolerances will be given in 2 or 3 mm. So the range of heights is starts from 2.5, next comes 3.5, then 7, 5, 7, 10, 14 and 20. This is the range of letters recommended by IS code. The range is the ratio is 1:√2. So by multiplying √2 every alternate number, we will get the next subsequent number. So 2.5, the next √2 into √2 will become 2. So the leaving one number will become twice the number. So 2.5 has become 5. Similarly, 5 has become 10. 10 has become 20. 3.5 has become 2, 7. Then 7 has become 14 if we leave the middle number, because it is √2 into √2, 2 times. Those two standard ratios of d by h, that is thickness to the line of and height, are followed. We follow two types of ratios, that is d by h ratio. The thickness of the line and height are followed. That is, for lettering type A, we follow D by H ratio as 1:14, and lettering B we follow as 1:10. So the lettering for lettering type A, that is D is equal to H by 14, or H is equal to 14 times the thickness of the line. So initially, as we said, H, we designate line as starting with its height only. So we take height as the criterion. So height of capital H is equal to 14 by 14 into H. So the ratio is 14 by 14 for, that is 14 by 14 into H will come is H. So it is the gives the height. So with respect to height, the lowercase height, lowercase letter height will be 10 by 14. The spacing between each character will be 2 by 14 into height, and spacing between each baselines will be 20 by 14, and spacing between words will become 6 by 14, and thickness of the line is 1 by 14. So by following these ratios, we can arrive at different thicknesses, spacings, and other heights of lowercase letters. So for lettering type B also, we have a specification, that is D should be equal to H by 10, and other specifications are, for capitals it is 10 by 10, for lowercase it is 7 by 10, for spacing between characters is 2 by 10, spacing between baselines is 14 by 10, and spacing between words is 6 by 10. Thickness of the line will be 1 by 10. So by multiplying H with all these ratios, we will arrive at the what is the size we have to put between the characters or word lines or words or baselines, etc. So in the second part, we will be dealing with the topic of dimensioning practice. So what is dimensioning? So when we draw any drawing, we give the value of the measurement, that is the numerical value expressed appropriate units for the measurement. So it is the numerical value given for the measurement, that is called the dimension. So it is indicated graphically or otherwise on a drawing sheet. It uses lines, symbols, notes, etc. So while giving the dimensioning, we write symbols, notes, lines, etc. So classification of dimensions. So these dimensions are of three types, that is functional dimensions, non-functional dimensions, and auxiliary dimensions. So functional dimensions are important dimensions, that is essential to the part or space of the drawing. So these are important functional, which are useful, which are necessary for a drawing. Similarly, we have dimensions that the part of is not that essential on the drawing sheet, is called non-functional dimensions. So auxiliary dimensions, these gives the only information. They are not of much use. They give information, and it is practiced to show the auxiliary dimension in parenthesis. So in a parenthesis, the dimensions are given. So these are called the auxiliary dimensions. System of dimensioning. So in dimensioning, while dimensioning, that is putting by on a drawing, any drawing, we put the dimension. So that dimensioning is done in two ways, that is two systems. One is aligned system, the other is unidirectional system. Aligned system, the dimensions are put in such a way that they are read from the bottom or right hand edge of the sheet. They are placed above the dimensional lines. So when we draw a figure, we give the dimension, we draw the extension lines, and we draw a dimension line, and above that line we will put the dimension. So in aligned system, as the name suggests, according to the alignment, the dimension will be aligned to the border of the object or the drawing. So along the outer edge of the drawing of that particular object, these dimensions are aligned in that angle. In unidirectional dimensioning, irrespective of the angle of the outer edge, we put the dimension in only one direction. That is, the direction is given in such a way that we will read from the bottom edge of the sheet. So that is only one way we can read. So these are always in only one direction. In aligned system, depending upon the border of the drawing, border of that particular drawing of an object or anything, those dimensions are aligned. So elements of dimension. To dimension, we need these lines. That is a dimension line. Dimension line gives the actual dimension of the object. Extension line and leader line. Dimension line, termination signs, and construction line. Dimension line. So what is a dimension line? It is a main element of dimensioning. That is, between actual size of the object is given by the dimension line. That is, actual measurement or the actual extent of that object is given by the dimension line. It is thin line between key points. So between key points, it is drawn in a thin line. That is, yesterday we have seen what is a thin line, what is a thick line and extra thick line. So using a continuous thin line, we draw a dimension line. So in dimension line, the dimensioning is done above or between the dimension line. So depending upon the aligned system or unidirectional system, the dimension is written above or in between the dimension line. So at the middle of the dimension line, either we put it along the line, at the center we put the dimension, or we will put above the line, above the dimension line, depending upon whether it is a aligned system or unidirectional system. It terminates with arrows or oblique strokes or origin indicators. So the dimension line has two ends. Two ends are terminated with arrows, or sometimes the oblique strokes, generally of 45 degrees, or any other origin indicator. That is, circles, like circles, small circles or dots. They indicate that it is the end of the dimension line. So the dimension line should be away from the object and from each other at a distance of 6 to 8 mm. So generally they should not be very close to the object or very far away from the object. Similarly, when we write 2 or 3 dimensions parallelly, they should not touch each other. They should be at least 6 to 8 mm from each other, so that they don't overlap. So the dimension line should be drawn at a distance of around 6 to 8 mm from the object, and on it or at the center of that dimension line we put the dimension. Next comes the extension line. So it extends from the surface or feature of part. So on the object, it extends from the edges. So it protrudes from edges, so that between those lines we can construct the dimension line. So these are the lines which extend from the edges. They lead the dimension line termination. This is a thin line, like similar to our dimension line, extends slightly beyond the termination points. So we put the dimension line just inside the extension line, so that there is small projection beyond the termination points. So another type of line is leader line. So this leader line, they lead the dimension out of the figure. So they are continuous thin line. They lead the key points wherever it is applied. The arrowhead of the leader line terminates at a line. So suppose there is a circle inside a figure, we don't put dimension inside the rectangle, so that radius or diameter of the circle is led out of the rectangle, and then the dimensions are given generally. So that line which projects out from the diameter away out of the actual figure, that line we call it as leader line. It leads out the actual diameter. So they should have inclination more than 30 degrees when terminated with lines. So generally they should have more than 30 degrees angle. Otherwise they will become parallel to the other dimensions. It will create some confusion. So leader line should be more than 30 degrees from the ordinary other dimensions. Suppose if we want to dimension any curved circular or curved features, that is any circle or any arc, then we have to use some standard procedures. That is, a circular feature should be dimensioned by their diameters only. We have to indicate for circle only diameter. So for circle we don't designate them or indicate the radius. We don't say circle of so and so radius. So we use only diameters to designate a circle. So we give only diameters, and we write the symbol pi before the diameter. So pi 20 means it is diameter of 20. We don't write 20 pi. Generally in mathematics we use 20 pi. When we say 20 pi, we mean that it is circle of 20 mm diameter. But here the symbol precedes the number, that is pi and 20. Similarly, arc dimension is given by its radius. When we deal with arc, we give the radius of the arc, not the diameter of the arc. So for circle we give the diameter, for arc we give the radius. So that radius also we give the number, the numeral will be preceded by r. That means it is the arc of radius 20. When we say r20, it is radius of 20 arc which has radius of 20 mm. So we don't designate as 20 r, that is 20 radius. We don't say 20 radius, but we say that it is r20. So arrangements of dimensioning. So how to arrange different dimensions? So there are some standard procedures we give the dimensions. So either in aligned system or unidirectional system, we have different components, or components are divided into different parts. Then each part will be given the dimension. So for dimensioning properly, for good appearance, we follow chain dimensioning or parallel dimensioning or progressive dimensioning, dimensioning by coordinates or combined dimensioning. So these are all the systems or arrangements which we do in our dimensioning. That is, we give the dimensioning of a complete figure by using either chain dimensioning or parallel or progressive, and similarly dimensioning by coordinates, using the coordinates, that is xy coordinates in the position of from the origin, from any arbitrary or given origin. Similarly combined dimensioning. So chain dimensioning and parallel dimensioning, or sometimes they are combined. Sometimes it necessitates that we use both type of dimensioning. Generally we don't combine them, but in special circumstances we have to combine. Then in those circumstances we use one or other arrangements by clubbing them. So if we see the chain dimensioning, chains of single dimensioning is given. If you look at the figure, if you are able to look at the figure, so each part is divided, this entire length is divided into some parts. So every part the dimension is given and all are on the same line. So all parts are on the same line. They are, each part is given by each dimension line. These separate dimension lines, they are chained together. So that is why it is called a chain dimension. So chains of single dimension. One, this is one single dimension, the other is other single dimension, or single dimensions are joined together, so that the entire distance we can know what is the dimension of entire distance or distances of those parts. That is the about the chain dimension. Similarly, we use another dimension called as parallel dimension. The same type, the object can be dimension in another way also. That is the parallel dimension. That is, each part is given the dimension from one end, dimensioning from the common feature or common end. So placement of the numbers are parallel to one another. Here if you see this 150 dimension and this 420 dimension and 640 dimension, they are parallel. They started from the left edge and they are given from left edge, that features. So this part is given is 150 mm. This entire size of this part and this part, this both together is 420 mm, and similarly entire distance is 640. So these three dimensions, these three dimensions are given parallelly. So that type of dimension is called the parallel dimension. Otherwise we would have given 150 and 270 and another 220. So they would have placed in a same line, that would have given us a chain dimension. Progressive dimension. Progressive dimension is, as we go, the dimension will increase along the same straight line. So instead of giving each dimension, separate each dimension, we are progressively giving the dimension. So one edge to one feature, what is the distance, from there the continuity, from there it will continue. So it will be a continuous increase in the dimension. So the origin indication is placed appropriately. So it will give only the origin or termination indication. That is, here in this case it is given as a small circle, and gradually only one termination mark is given, the arrowhead, for each part. So it has started from 0 to 150 and 420 and 640. So it has extended in a straight line, and instead of giving separately their dimensions, they are cumulatively given. That is, each part is added to the other part. So it has started from 0, 150 and 150 to 470. Suppose this is 270 mm, it is added and given 420, and another 220 mm is added, and then it is given like this. So this is the way it will be given as progressive dimension. Here if we observe, either they are given along the extension line, these are the extension lines, they are given along the extension lines, or they are placed above the arrow. So these two types of arrangements we can follow. So anything, the progressive dimension can be given along the extension line or simply above the arrowhead, near the arrowhead, above the line, dimension line. So dimensioning by coordinates, we know we know the coordinate geometry. So we know what are the distance x's and y's from origin. So by giving a tabular form, giving a table, that is x and y and the diameter, we can simply give a table near the figure. So beside the drawing, if we put a table, and those table will indicate the, suppose this is hole 1, this hole is at a distance of 20 in x direction and 160 from the y direction from origin. So similarly all the centers are given with respect to the x and y coordinates. combined dimension. So single dimensions or chain dimensions and parallel dimensions are combined. So sometimes it may be necessary for combining these types of dimensions. So then we will use the chain dimensioning, also parallel dimensioning. So they are combined together. This gives the combined dimensioning arrangement. So again, let us have a small recap about the dimensioning. So we define a dimension as a numerical value expressed in appropriate units for to measure the object. So it is indicated graphically or otherwise. Classification of dimensions are dimensions may be functional, non-functional or auxiliary depending upon the how important they are. So we have two types of two systems in dimensioning, that is the aligned system and unidirectional system. The dimension may be in one direction or may be aligned to the edge, uh, aligned to the line which we are measuring. So it can be two types, the aligned system or unidirectional system. Generally unidirectional system is followed. So in aligned system, they are placed in such a way they are read from the bottom or right hand corner of the right hand edge of the drawing sheet. So either they can be read from the bottom or from the right edge for aligned system. For unidirectional system, it is only one direction, so that is from the bottom edge we have to read. So unidirectional is in a way very convenient to read. Instead of turning our heads or turning the paper, we can directly read. So it is easy, we can easily comprehend the dimension. So elements of dimensioning. In dimensioning, we need some lines, that is dimensional line, extension line, leader line, dimension termination marks, and construction line. So dimension line is very important line in dimensioning. It is the basis of dimensioning. It forms the basis of dimension. It will be between the extension lines. It will stay between the extension lines of any object from any part of the object, and there will be termination marks at the end of each dimension line. So a dimension line should be slightly away from the edge of the object or edge of the drawing. So that particular drawing they should not be very close or very far away from drawing. So generally 6 to 8 mm distance is maintained. Extension line, it extends or protrudes, it protracts from the edges of the parts or feature of the part. So they lead dimension line termination. The dimension line termination will be between these two extension lines. It is a thin line, extends slightly beyond the extension line or extension line termination points. I will show you this. These are the extension lines. This is a dimension line. So this dimension line is terminated by two arrows between these extension lines. So between the two extension lines, this dimension line will be there. About that dimension line, their dimension will be given. This is a classic example of the aligned system. In aligned system, the dimension is written above the object, above the dimension line. So leader line, it leads out of the object, out of any object, that is this the generally is for circles and arcs. They take the radius or diameter outside the actual figure, so that there won't be any confusion. So dimensioning for circle or for arc, we use for circle, we give designation of circle as diameter. For arcs, we use radius. So the diameter, when we write the numeral or when we give the dimension will be preceded by pi. So pi followed by numeral will give you the diameter of the circle. Similarly, when r preceded by r numeral is preceded by r, then it will be r some numeral, for example r20, r30, or like that. Then it will be the radius of an arc of radius 20, 30, or whatever it is. So the pi and numeral or r and numeral, pi and numeral will give you the circle designation, r and numeral will give you the arc designation. So there are different types of arrangement of dimensioning. We arrange the dimensions of each part in a chain or parallel or progressive or by coordinate system or sometimes combined system. That is depending upon the convenience, depending upon the drawing, we use these types of arrangements. So chain dimensioning is the dimensions, all the single dimensions are joined together along a same straight line, and their individual dimensions are given. So each part is given its own dimension, but all those parts are along the same straight line. Then that will be like a chain link. So one part is linked to the other part. These dimensions are they have individual dimensions which are chained together. Parallel dimension. In parallel dimensioning, the dimensions are given parallelly. So they start from one edge or one feature of the one common feature, and then they go from that edge. Each part is given the dimension. So the first part is given its dimension. Along with the first part, the second part, the total dimension from edge to the end of the second part will give another dimension, and similarly it will be increasing progressively. So all these dimensions are given parallelly. That is why it is called the parallel dimension. So in this figure we can see 150, 420 and 640 are given parallelly from the left edge of the thing. So similarly, progressive dimensioning, instead of giving individual dimensions or adding each and everything, so entire object is given progressively the dimension. That is, it starts from 0, adds the first part, and then cumulatively the second part, and then cumulatively third part, so on. It progressively the distance increases according to the dimension of that part. So in this figure it has started from 0, it has gone to 150, another 270 is added, then it becomes 420, another 220 is added, it becomes 640. Similarly, for giving the dimension, we can either make it along the extension line, or we can place it over the dimension line and near the arrow. Similarly, by coordinates, we can give the dimensioning by coordinates. That is, starting from origin in x and y direction, we can give the coordinates. That coordinates, the origin may be any arbitrary depending upon our choice. Then the distance will be given. Generally, we give the origin 0, 0 as the origin. We take 0, 0 as origin, some edge or the starting point of the edge. Then we will give the dimension of each center or each corner. Then the coordinates will designate the corner or center of any hole or something like that. Similarly, sometimes we may need to combine the parallel dimension or single dimension and chain dimension depending upon some special circumstances. Then we have to use the combined dimensioning, that is by combining single dimension, chain dimension and parallel dimension. All the three are any two, some depending upon the necessity. So these are all the different types of arrangements in dimension. So with this we come to the end of this session. Thank you one and all.